numbers and all that right now. But man, defense, when it counted, you stepped your up and you made it. And we had to make offense, 500. Brand, 254 rushing yards. Man, I love this group. And man, from here on out, grit. Because I told you during the offseason, man, we have to create an advantage. We did. But you showed all the grit in the world to win this game. Good play home. Man. I love this group, man. Let's call it up.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry.
Bleeping welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. New York Jets fans drink for free after getting off the schneid. First win of the season, 1-7. Aaron Glenn, very happy.
Aaron Glenn, very happy. Connor Rogers, very happy. Literally still drunk, Connor Rogers. Couldn't make it into work today. We'll see about tomorrow if he can make it in and drag himself off the floor. But yes, drunk with delirium. Yeah. Unbelievable. They have to change the name of Badlands to, medium lands.
Yeah, slightly worse lands.
Slightly better lands, I guess.
Yeah, sure. By the way, Matthew Berry, Jay Croucher. I actually don't know why. I literally don't know why Connor's not here today. So we will just go with the reason that he's drunk with delirium.
I have to tell you, I agree with you, Co-Breaker.
Cobra
Kiger? Cobra Kiger, I guess. Like Cobra Kai, but Cobra Kiger. That's actually a pretty good name. Assuming his last name is Kiger.
I would hope so.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty good, Cobra Kiger. Anyway, Connor's too hungover celebrating. I agree with you. I think that's what it is. To be honest with you, the attendance on the show is somewhat spotty. And if I actually decided to read the memos. I normally don't read the memos around here. I think spotty attendance is upcoming for everyone. But your old pal Matty will be here every single day. All right, Aloha Bricks. Connor Rogers finally got to celebrate something after the Emmys and the Mets. That's also true. He's been on a bit of a losing streak, Connor Rogers has been.
Yeah, can you imagine as well, like, how sad is it that Connor Rogers is skipping the show after the Jets moved to 1-7?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
they move into playoff position.
Yeah, you call me a homer, but at least I show up. I'm, again, I'm usually drunk, but this is the difference between me and Connor Rogers, to be honest with you, is that Connor can't hold his booze. I can. Anyone that watched Fantasy Football pregame on Sunday know I'm impervious to alcohol. And so at least when it comes to beer. And so I'm just going to let you know right now that, like, when my Commanders win a game, and it happens a lot more frequent than the Jets do, but when my Commanders win a game, and I get loaded, I get lit up, I still show up to work the next day. That's the kind of professional I am. That's the kind of veteran I am, as you will. That comes with wisdom and experience. Connor Rogers, still a young pup, still doesn't know. Hasn't had a drink in 7 weeks, obviously, but finally the Jets get one done. Spliff McGriff wants to know, I'm here for the security guard stories. Not enough of them, honestly, Jay. They were actually...
Oh, they were good to you.
Yeah, they were. No one, they were a little... Valiant Vincent, no, I did not find that security guard. I did not have a drink with him. Screw that guy.
Yeah, to be honest, some relationships can be repaired. That one was not beyond repair. That was irreparable.
Absolutely not.
Aloha Bricks, Berry versus the security guard. One of the great rivalries of our time. Yeah, it's the new Brady v. Manning of our time. Berry v. Anonymous Acrisure Stadium security guard. I was so scarred by the experience. I look forward to the 30 for 30
about it.
Yeah. I was so scarred by the experience last year that I decided not to go to the game last night. I just went home. Yeah, I spent time with my family. I didn't want a redux of that
people
security
don't understand.
guard.
Like, Jay is, much nicer than I am, so you didn't want to get into it.
No.
But
I didn't see any upside.
Right. Well, you didn't want to get into it, and you didn't want to talk about it on air. But what do I care? Again, and so. But, I mean, you were right. So you guys know it wasn't just me versus security guard. It was me with Jay and Lawrence
and one of Jay's men.
And one of your friends.
Yeah, my friend Garrett.
Your friend Garrett. Yeah, and so, the four of us. And, we had tickets to get in, and he wouldn't let us in.
Oh, it was good.
And, VPs from the Steelers came out, and they're on the other side. They're like, we invited him in. He's supposed to be in here. And, anyway, it was just, but this one guy, this short little fat old guy who has nothing going on in his life other than the fact that he gets to be a security guard at 8 Steelers games a year,
wow. Not even giving them the
buckled up his, put his big belly over his, his little belt, and waddled up to me and said, no.
Yeah. No, it was a tough scene. Two things quickly. One, I'm glad there's a bit more physical distance between us than the previous shows. It's good to have that room.
The sexual chemistry was too much for Peacock. They asked us to tone it down. They said, what is this, Love Island? Absolutely not. Talk football, fake football, nerds.
Indeed. And the second thing is that for anyone who was fortunate enough to miss Matthew's story, live on Fantasy Football pregame yesterday on the turf at Acrisure Stadium, Matthew claimed that he is scientifically, that if he drinks 6 beers, he will blow 0.0 on the breathalyzer, which is physically impossible and a ridiculous claim to make, and frankly, in any circumstance or context, but particularly on the turf of Acrisure Stadium. I still can't believe that actually happened.
Look, may I be exaggerating on 6 beers, but I will tell you, I will double down on this.
Okay, it's a shocking
So my
position.
wife and I, and anyone out there with kids, if this is for you and your daughters, right?
Yeah.
They're young, right, still. But I will tell you that, speaking as somebody that has had 3 teenage boys go through the house, like my youngest boy is now legal drinking age and at Alabama, but I got news for you guys. High school kids sometimes will occasionally drink. They will, right? Even though it is not legal in the state of America. And so, in the country of America. But what my wife and I did is, instead of turning a blind eye and burying our head in the sand, we bought a breathalyzer.
Sure.
And we wouldn't let them go out if they'd been sneaking beers or, or whatever, seltzers or whatever it is. And so we bought a breathalyzer. And so one night I drank a ton of beers. We're all hanging around at How. My wife and I had friends over. And we were showing them the breathalyzer. We all hey, I wonder what my number is. Wonder what my number is. I blew a 0.0. And everyone else was, look, and I've been drinking beers all night. And we have tried this again since. So I'm just telling you, maybe we had a defective breathalyzer. But it worked for everyone else. And I'm just telling you, I can drink a lot of beer and it does not affect me at all. I do not feel drunk. You give me 2 glasses of Pinot Grigio though, and I'm feeling you up.
Sure.
So I'm just saying. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think you need some new batteries for the breathalyzer. But in any case, also, if you cut Matthew, he doesn't bleed. People don't know this. He doesn't bleed blood.
Well,
all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's gravy. That's what comes out. It's a white gravy.
Diet soda.
Yeah.
Rez Legs bought this breathalyzer on Amazon Prime Day, half off.
Maybe. It might have been.
It's very good from Raise the Flag. Searching up the regulars' power rankings. All right, lots to get to today.
On,
it's a Weekend Warriors Sunday Scaries. Look ahead to Monday Night Football at the end of the show. We're going to be off the rails today. But we start off with the Rotoworld Player news, headlined by Breece Hall as part of that epic Jets win. And we heard from Breece Hall on telling coaches he needed the ball in Week 8.
Or here's a graphic.
I kind of went to, the coaches this weekend, not complaining, but I told them, I was like, if Garrett not playing, I need the ball at least 20, 25 times. So, I've always told them, I hate losing, but if we lose, I want it to be on me. I want to go out swinging. So, and my coaches know, they know, I'm unselfish. I'm not, out there begging for the ball and whatever, but, they have told me, Breece, you earn the respect of everybody. You got every means to, demand the ball and, talk to us. And for me, it was, I'm more so chill, just let the game come to me type of thing. But, this week I was just I needed this. I need the ball this weekend.
Okay, it's Breece Hall on SNY wearing a Mets hat. Man knows his way to Connor Rogers' heart. So Breece Hall puts up 32.9 fantasy points, that huge comeback in the fourth quarter. It was a fantasy fiesta for the most part. Chase Brown had the best game of his season. Joe Flacco didn't play amazing, but put up stats. Jamar Chase had 1 million targets. It's kind of surprising he only ended up with 21 fantasy points. But the big story here is obviously the Jets and their offense. How much are we reading into this, or is this purely a reflection on the state of the Bengals defense?
Both. I think it's both. I mean, look, make no mistake, the Bengals are awful. This is a bad loss. Again, I feel so bad for the fans of the Bengals because every time you buy into them, they bone you.
Yes.
Everyone knows this. Everyone knows this. When you buy into the Bengals, when you're finally like, hey, maybe when you spend a lot of money on 80-1 tickets.
It was so close. We almost had the AFC at 80-1 It was so close. It was sitting right there for us, and they blew it yesterday.
Yeah. Now the Bengals bone you. They do it. They do it every single year. They always bone you. But you know what? They put up 38 points, Jay. That should be enough to win an NFL game.
Yes, it really should be. Against the Jets.
Against the Jets.
Should only need 20.
Yes. Yeah. They put that up, and so we'll talk about Cincinnati the offense in a second here. So, but you asked about the question about the Jets offense. So what do I think is realistic? Do I think, Breece Hall getting a ton of work? Yes. Obviously, that can continue. Now, do I think he always throws a touchdown pass? An ill-advised one that Mason Taylor basically had to Randy Moss it over 2 defenders. But God bless, he pump faked and still threw a ball into double coverage. But somehow Mason Taylor came down with it. But still, 4 red zone rushes. He's had at least 18 or more touches in 4 of the past 5 games. So the workload has been there, Jay, for Breece Hall. Like to see him involved a little bit more in the passing game here. Only got 3 targets here because part of the other thing that's sort of interesting here is Isaiah Davis, and we'll talk more about him tomorrow, but we've talked about him a few weeks in a row. Like, Isaiah Davis is good. And there's a scenario where Breece Hall, either he was banged up coming into this week, there's a chance that he could suffer another injury, or he gets traded. He is rumored to be on the trade block. This performance certainly ups his value. Nice win for the Jets. Glad they're off the schneid, but they're still 1-7 and not likely going anywhere this year. So it would think that the Jets might look around and say, like, hey, can we get something for Breece Hall that allows us to move the ball forward next year in the future? And so Isaiah Davis, who had 109 yards from scrimmage, 17% target share, just looks the part of just needs a role.
Yeah, and absolutely. And if he does get that role, the Jets' offensive line has not been the weakness of the team. The O-line is fine. If Fields, who has certainly kept his job for a couple of weeks, I would think, off of this performance, he is a cheat code for running backs. Even though he's not the threat to pass that Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson are, et cetera, as a running quarterback, it makes it easier to be more efficient as a running back, taking men out of the box. So Isaiah Davis, I think that he's a prime stash candidate. Another running back.
Although, one thing about Justin Fields real quickly, and we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. So Justin Fields, right, has now had 20 or more fantasy points in 4 of his 5 completed games this season. Right? Again, we can debate whether or not he's an actually good NFL quarterback, but fantasy-wise, when he has been able to complete a game, he's actually been pretty good. Now that is skewed a little bit. It's a legit stat: 20 or more fantasy points in 4 of his 5 completed games so far this year. Right? So now. One of the games was against Carolina. He got benched. He had only 4 fantasy points. The 5th game that he didn't complete was that 4.9 points game against Denver. Right? He completed the game. He was brutal. They probably should have benched him against the Broncos overseas, but they didn't. So those are the 5 games. 20 points in 4 of them. The Denver game in the 5th one. But then again, we say completed games because he gets benched in the Carolina game. He had only under 5 fantasy points in that one. He left the Buffalo game with a concussion. Yep. So, he's either been really, really good or really, really bad. But it's interesting. I don't know if he could sell high, Justin Fields. But next week is a bye. Then they're home to Cleveland, at New England, at Baltimore. It gets a lot tougher. You don't love any of those matchups, Jay.
No, you don't. In Cleveland, he might have game script, but Myles Garrett just sacked Drake May 5 times in one NFL game, so he's going to be licking his lips to go after Justin Fields. And then the Patriots' defense continues to get better, and the Ravens' defense, which seemed like an easy pick-off previously, they've kind of turned the corner. They were able to contain Chicago a bit, and also before the bye, they played pretty well defensively against the Rams. Then it gets a bit easier. Falcons, Dolphins, at
Jaguars, at Saints.
It's just the question of
fantasy
whether...
playoffs is kind of interesting for the Jets.
It is.
Especially if Garrett Wilson gets healthy.
I think, and the thing with the Jets, too, is that they really should have beat the Steelers. They really should have beat the Broncos. They could have beat the Bucks. They could have beat Dolphins. This team could be hovering around 500 if a few things went right on the luck front. But I think ultimately the thing with Fields is that you kind of want a high floor quarterback to pair with him, and then when you need the high variance, you play the Fields card, and when you need the safety of a Jared Goff or a Daniel Jones just getting you to 18 points, you play that card instead. Quickly,
a lot of Jets talk for a show that Connor Rogers is not on.
Unbelievable.
So Bourbon Breath, which, by the way, is a strong name, Bourbon Breath, he says, I'm still not a Chase Brown believer. Is this sell high time? Seems like now or never. So they're home to Chicago next week. Then they've got a bye at Pittsburgh, home to New England. So a little bit up and down here. I don't know that Chase Brown is a sell high, and I'll tell you why. It depends on, I guess, what you can get. I have no problem selling Chase Brown if you can get something for him. I think where he is basically he's probably a middle to low-end RB2 the rest of the way. Obviously, the 2 touchdowns you love. The concern on Chase Brown is he played only 60% of the team's running back touches over the last 2 weeks, right? Samaje Perine was really involved here And given how much they pass and how much Flacco likes to pass, it makes sense. Feels like they trust Samaje Perine in pass protection a lot more. They like him in that third down role. Samaje Perine caught a pass and scored a touchdown here. But this is now back-to-back games with 100 or more total yards for Chase Brown. Over the last 3 games, he's averaging 7 yards per carry. He just, to the eye test, he looks like the Chase Brown from last year on some. The offense obviously isn't as good without Joe Burrow, but So just to answer the question directly, in terms of is he a sell high, I got no problem selling him, but again, if you could get more than like mid to low tier, but I do think this offense under Joe Flacco is going to be better.
Yeah, I mean, they lost the game, but they did score 38 points after putting up, 33 against the Steelers a week ago. So I do think this offense is going to be competent. Another offense.
Can I ask you one last question about this, and then we'll move off? I promise about this. But so the Bengals are 3-5, right? But the Steelers lost last night. Yes, I know the Ravens won, but but they're still 2 games up on the Ravens, or one game. They're one game up on the Ravens. Yeah. This was a game it would have been great for them to win. This is a game they needed to win when you sort of look at the schedule, but they're still not dead.
No.
They're not dead.
No, they're not dead. I think they're still close enough that they'll keep Trey Hendrickson, assuming he gets healthy, and they'll continue to compete because that division is wide open. Like, Baltimore's the favorite to win the division now.
Of course.
And Baltimore are 2-5. So it is a very, very winnable division. A division that might be a bit less winnable after yesterday, Matthew, the NFC East, where the Eagles handled the Giants. Saquon Barkley was the big story early on, finally breaking a run longer than 17 yards, and it went for 65. This is the first Saquon performance of the season, looking like 2024 Saquon. Jaylen Hurts, 4 touchdown passes, no picks. He's had probably his best 2-game stretch of his career as a passer, but I think the story is Saquon. Matthew, how much do you buy into this as being the Saquon we're going to see going forward?
Well, is he healthy? That's the concern here. Is he left this game a little bit with an injury? So we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Hopefully it's not a serious injury, but we'll talk more tomorrow about Tank Bigsby and what that injury looks like if it's more serious for Barkley, because he did leave the game early. The game was already in hand for Philadelphia. But yeah, I mean, look, the Eagle, to your point about the division, right? Cowboys lose yesterday. Obviously, the Giants lose to Philadelphia. My Commanders play tonight. The expectation here is 14.5-point underdogs with Jaden Daniels out for this game. Probably going to be a Chiefs victory. So, yeah, the Eagles have the NFC East fairly in control, and so they can be cautious here with Barkley. They can take their time, but I think if you've invested in Eagles skill players, what you're excited about is, like, at first they were run heavy and they weren't getting anywhere. Then they started to pass a little bit more, and you're like, okay, now finally the passing game's going, and that will open up things for Barkley. This is what we expected over the last 2 weeks. And against the Giants, it did. One of the first plays of the season, boom, of the game, I should say, Barkley over 60 yards to the house. And you're like, okay, finally one of those long runs that have been signature of Saquon in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform.
Yep. Terrible news about Cam Skattebo with ankle, lower leg injury. Suspect, naturally, that he's out for the season. So best wishes to Cam Skattebo, but...
And honestly, if you think about it, I mean, it was such a brutal injury, and Skattebo is so fun, so beloved. He should have been the one to drink free. Now, did producer Steven screw up? Yes. And Jets fans drink free. It's fine. But,
low-hanging fruit.
Because of exactly, and because of Connor, we talk about the Jets a lot, but Skattebo has this, brutal, awful injury. I don't know if you saw video of it. It was awful. Do not search it up. It is nasty. Imagine this is his foot, and then it was awful. And so we love Cam Skattebo here. We wish him a speedy recovery. It was awful. He should have drank free. You know what, Cam? If you're watching this, screw the sign, screw Steven. You drink free. You honestly drink free for the rest of the year. Honestly, we love Skattebo here. A miss by producer Steven, if you're being honest.
Yes, I would say a rare miss, but a miss from Steven.
A miss.
Question from Ved. How much fab should we use to pick up Tyrone Tracy now that he is the clear RB1 in New York?
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I think some, but not a ton. Tyrone Tracy isn't as good as Cam Skattebo, and I don't have as much confidence at the goal line with Tracy that I do with Skattebo. He's a smaller back, obviously. They used him he didn't do much, right? The game was somewhat out of hand. Giants, by the way, got hosed on. It didn't make a difference. I mean, the Eagles
fumble,
but the fumble and the Darius Slayton touchdown was called back.
Yeah.
Both of those were absolutely brutal calls, Jay.
Yeah, no stuff. Yeah, there's no justification for the fastest forward progress in the history of the sport of football. Let's jump ahead
Anyway,
to.
So we'll talk about Tyrone Tracy more tomorrow and Jackson Dart. So I think he'll be a usable flex, low-end RB2 in various weeks, but they'll use Devin Singletary more than you want, is what I would say there. I don't know if there's anything else to say other than, hey, Jackson Dart continues to be good, continues to get you points with his legs.
Indeed. All right, let's go to another quarterback who continues to get you points with his legs. It's Bo Nix with the Broncos, who hosted the Cowboys. Line was 3.5. I thought the Cowboys might keep this one close. They did not. The Broncos an emphatic 20-point victory. Troy Franklin, RJ Harvey, not the names that you expect to go off. Bo Nix as well played, I think, his best game of the season. Dak Prescott has really his first non-superhuman performance since the Bears loss. But the big story is the 3 touchdowns for RJ Harvey.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable, but how much do you buy into his upside going forward?
This was so annoying, so incredibly frustrating, because J.K. Dobbins ran really well, ran for over 100 yards here. RJ Harvey got 8 touches. 8 touches total in this entire game, but 3 of them end up in the end zone as well. By the way, of the 8 touches that he got, only 3 in the red zone, but he did convert all 3. I will say this, to the eye test, like, he looks good. He looks fast. He looks, shifty, and you sort of get why the Broncos drafted him. He looks like the guy we saw in college, but we know there's still issues in pass protection. We know they love J.K. Dobbins. Again, in a game in which they scored over 40 points and they blew the Cowboys out, this guy got 8 touches. But, of course, 3 of them are touchdowns. As somebody who has a lot of J.K. Dobbins and literally none of R.J. Harvey, and is going to lose a matchup this week in my dynasty league, Jay. I'm going to go. Give me a quick time out for rant here. I'm in a dynasty league and I'm in first place. Like, I am crushing it. Like, I built my team slowly but surely, tinkering, tanking, everything like that. And I'm playing a team that's tanking. That is not good. But this particular week, it's a super flex league, and the only quarterback I have that wasn't on a bye this week is Baker Mayfield. Brutal. Chris McCaffrey. Brutal. I'm playing a guy. I got a guy that he's got Tua. Again, he's only got one quarterback as well, because his guys are either hurt or injured. But his quarterback's Tua, who gets 4 touchdowns out of nowhere, and he throws R.J. Harvey in there, 3 touchdowns. I have J.K. Dobbins on this team. What are you talking about? So anyway, unless somehow Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Zach Ertz outscore Rashee Rice tonight by 12, I'm losing. I'm losing to this guy. And both of us, what's so frustrating is both of us, both me and the guy that I'm playing, both want me to win. He's tanking. He's playing for next year. We're both frustrated by this. We're both incredibly frustrated by it. Anyway, R.J. Harvey, super annoying. The takeaway here is that if there's a positive here, again, he looks good, and they are using him around the goal, in the end zone. But I can't imagine starting a guy that got 8 touches,
and a
8 touches.
Win. Yeah.
It's like it's only his 3rd game this season with more than 30 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, super annoying things, because instead of Cortland Sutton and J.K. Dobbins, the guys we want, the guys we like.
It's Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant.
Yes.
Yeah, a little Pat Bryant action. Franklin is, I think, more interesting in a way, because he did show those flashes in the first 2 weeks of the season and then kind of disappeared. But I think as well, it's only his 2nd game this season where he's actually really done anything statistically.
Right. Only his 2nd game this year with more than 55 receiving yards, to your point. But over the last 2 games, 5 end zone targets as well. 29% target share in this one. Again, all the, college teammate with Bo Nix, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about him more tomorrow, I'm sure. But I still just feel like the guys that we thought were going to do well in the Dallas game are still the guys that you feel good about. It's good to have Harvey and Franklin on your radar and probably on your roster. But next week, I don't know that I'm necessarily trusting them at Houston, by the way, a very tough matchup. Other than, it's still Sutton and Dobbins are still the focal points. They got unlucky with the touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to say about Dallas. You just throw that game in the bin. It was a weird game. Dak throws 2 interceptions. Jake Ferguson does absolutely nothing.
On National Tight Ends Day, Jake Ferguson has been the best tight end in fantasy up until this week. But he was open. He was open on a long seam route, and Dak just underthrew him, and it was a pick. And again, playing at Denver is tough. I think I agree with you, Jay. better days are ahead for the Cowboys. You know, Lamb and Pickens were fine. Javonte gets 2 touchdowns. So I'm with you. They're home to Arizona next week. The Cowboys will be fine. Just bad day at the office.
Indeed. All right, let's go to Chicago at Baltimore. The Ravens saved their season without Lamar Jackson, and now they're 7.5-point favorites on Thursday night against the Dolphins, with a chance to move to 3-5 and kind of re-emphasize their favoritism in that division. The story here, Matthew, Derrick Henry scores twice, not particularly efficient with the 21 for 71, but still gets in the end zone.
Yeah, you know, look, in his first 5 games, he was averaging just 13.6 touches per game. I think what you're happy about here is now had back-to-back games with over 20 touches. He's had multiple goal line rushing attempts in 4 of the last 5 games. They play at Miami next week, then at Minnesota. I think that's the Thursday night game, right? The Ravens.
Yep.
So they play at Miami a little bit later this week. Then at Minnesota, at Cleveland, home to the Jets. And so the expectation here is that Lamar will be back by Thursday.
Yeah.
But certainly if he's not, Huntley showed enough here that he can move the chains, and you feel good about Derrick Henry. You mostly feel good about the fact that I refuse to accept Jay Croucher's offer of Quinshon Judkins, we'll get to him in a minute, for Derrick Henry. This is a very smart move by B. He tried to rip me off. Swindler Jay over here, but I would not fall for it. I would not fall for it. I saw through your tricks. I hung on to Derrick Henry. And I got a chance at getting a win tonight. We will see. No one's counting any chickens, but I'm not. For once going into a Monday night, I actually have a chance at winning.
A chance. You're 99% favorite on
the way my season's going, like okay. I'm taking nothing for granted. I will be locked in on this game.
Question from Greg Laux. What do we do with Derrick Henry? Is he fully back now? Is he a sell-high candidate? I think he's back because the schedule gets so much easier, and the expectation is Lamar Jackson will come back most likely this Thursday. That's what the line is reflecting at the moment. And then you look at the schedule after that. Okay, so the Dolphins, very easy matchup, notwithstanding what they did to the Falcons. At Vikings, the Ravens will be significant favorites there against J.J. McCarthy.
Money Vidal just ran all over them.
Exactly. It's been a good defense overall, but a good pass defense, not a good defense against the run. At the Browns, home Jets, home Bengals. They have two out of 3 weeks they play the Bengals, Matthew, who just transformed.
13 and 15. Yeah, weeks 13 and 15. We just saw Josh Jacobs run. Steelers have a good run defense, but again, Derrick Henry is something different. Patriots and Packers in 16 and 17 in the fantasy playoffs. But again, like Lamar is such a cheat code, and assuming Lamar gets back to being Lamar, right? They're going to be in scoring position often, and they'll use Henry as a hammer. It's been a couple of games since he's fumbled, so there's that as well. I don't think I don't mind selling him, but I don't think he's a sell high. I think he's if we were ranking for the rest of the season, again, given the schedule, he's probably a low-end RB1, high-end RB2. He's kind of in that, running back 10 to 12 range for me right now the rest of the way.
I get that because he just doesn't give you any receiving value, but just purely in terms of the rushing, I would make Jonathan Taylor the favorite to lead the league in rushing from this point forward. I'd have Derrick Henry second, just in terms of rushing yards, because I just think that with the schedule and with Lamar coming back, he's going to more replicate what he did last season when he was close to 2K rushing. Let's go to the Bears side. Disappointing game for Chicago. Rome Odunze was fantastic. Gets the 7 receptions for 114 receiving yards, but another just kind of nothing day from Caleb Williams.
He might not be good.
I wouldn't write him off just yet.
I'm not writing him off just yet. But I'm also not writing him in just yet either.
Yeah, don't write him in.
I mean, this
you just hold the pen up. You don't have to do anything.
It's kind of like I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to figure out what I write in there because I'm just not. I'm not sure, man. Like the interception that he threw in his own red zone when they needed to come back. They're down and like, okay, this is an important drive, and just it was a backbreaker.
Yeah.
Backbreaker. And then you think about the sequence at the end of the game where they're trying to get back in it. They're down 2 scores, right? So they're like on the 3-yard line, right? And he just immediately calls an audible and tries to quarterback sneak it in.
Yeah.
Right? They have no timeouts left. And it's under a minute to go. It's like 35 seconds. Something. I forget exactly the amount of time, but it's just like, dude, no, you don't have time to. I mean, I guess maybe he thought something he was going to be able to get in, but it's just you're on the road at Baltimore, and then on 4th down, he's running around and he's got DJ Moore wide open in the end zone, and I get that he was under pressure, but he throws it literally wide right. It's like the old Major League, just a bit outside. Like it was just,
Yes.
like, dude.
Yeah, I think
Dude.
Last year the organization was a catastrophe. This year, like the jury's, I mean, are we writing in Ben Johnson as for sure an amazing head coach? I don't think we can write that in yet either. So Caleb, it's a new system, new weapons, offensive line is
like
been a work
they've
in
been
progress.
going well and everything like that, and they've been running the ball well. The offensive line is playing well, but again, like they got lucky in the win against Washington. They did. I mean, Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, all homerism aside, Washington had the ball and the lead with 2 minutes to go, and just Jayden Daniels just fumbles. It's a wet ball, and he just, like, they got lucky, right?
Yeah.
They didn't force a fumble. And then, they go down and they kick a game-winning field goal at the very last second. And that's the NFL. Sometimes the ball has to bounce your way, and on that day it did. But my point is you're like, oh, Ben Johnson's got them rolling, everything like that. If Jayden Daniels doesn't fumble, maybe the story narrative is a little bit different. They did not look ready for prime time in a game in which they faced Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
This is a game that they should have won,
Tej, I'll give Caleb one more week. If you can't do it against the Bengals, then I'm officially done. I think that's fair. It's a great time to play the Bengals.
I think that's fair, Tej. I would like it, Tej, if you could go to the Bears press conference and say, Coach Johnson, I would just like to announce that I'm giving Caleb one more week, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Then I'm officially out. I will say this. If you had to redraft from an NFL perspective, forget fantasy for a second. So they're at the Bengals. That's a get-right game here. Then home to the Giants, at Vikings, home to the Steelers, at Eagles, which is the Black Friday game after Thanksgiving. This is an important game against the Bengals because it gets tougher.
Season on the line. They lose this, they're not going to make the playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah. The Bengals lose, they're not going to make the playoffs either.
Ooh,
so
a lot going on. Yeah, this is a
Joe
big game.
Flacco, the season on the line.
Joe Flacco versus Caleb Williams.
Yeah, who else would you want in that spot? If you were redrafting.
If I was redrafting the quarterbacks from last year, this would be my argument. And you tell me if you think I'm crazy.
Are you going to take
Regulars?
Knicks over him?
Huh?
Are you going to take Knicks over him? Because that's kind of the pivot point. Because I think.
Because I think you can make an. I'm a homer, whatever. Screw it. I would still take Daniels 1. I would take Drake May 2.
I might take Drake May 1. I think I've flipped over the past couple of weeks.
You?
Yeah, unfortunately. Jayden just keeps getting injured.
I know. I get that. Listen, again, I love to give you crap. I get it.
Yeah.
Drake May's been awesome, man.
Well, it's Drake May and Jayden Daniels in their own tier, and
yes.
then it's a tier drop down to Caleb, to Bo Nix. Then it's another tier drop down to McCarthy
like Spencer
and
Rattler, right? And Penix and Rattler. But my question is but yeah, I think at least half the NFL teams would take Nix over Caleb.
I would still take Caleb. Let's put Caleb in a Sean Payton
but it's a conversation though. That's the fact. A guy that 2 years ago
generational
was the next Andrew Luck, the next Trevor Lawrence, the next Peyton Manning. Like, not that Andrew Luck, but like those guys were, when they were drafted, were like, this is a generational prospect, right?
Yep,
and that's what Trevor Lawrence was thought of to be, and. Yeah.
All right. Well,
anyway.
A guy who looked like Peyton Manning in his rookie season, C.J. Stroud.
But Rome Odunze was good, and there's not much else to talk about in this game.
Yep. Niners Texans.
Colston Loveland, you're welcome to Dumpsville. Couldn't do anything.
How much are we reading into the Texans passing game? Looking pretty confident against the Niners defense that was frisky against the Falcons, but is extremely lacking in manpower at the moment. C.J. Stroud, that's the best that he's looked in a while. Like, some of those passes were looking like rookie year. C.J. Stroud, Xavier Hutchinson, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, they help you out as flex guys mostly. But it was very, to use your favorite word, Matthew, an egalitarian offense.
Yes.
But Stroud was able to distribute the ball.
Very quietly, he's had at least 18 fantasy points in 3 of the past 4. He's had at least 2 touchdown passes in each of those 3 games that I just mentioned as well. And what's weird about Stroud, because I agree with you, that was the best he's looked, but he's actually slowly started to look better. Doesn't matter who's out there. And quietly, he's getting you a few points with his leg. He's averaging, for the year, he's averaging 25 rushing yards per game. This is not something that's been part of his game previously, but he is starting to run a little bit. He's at least 20 rushing yards in every game this year but 1. And so credit to C.J. Stroud, who, I think they found a couple of things. First off, Jaylen Noel and Jaden Higgins, they're starting to come along as well. Woody Marks out of the backfield, they feel more comfortable with him, and so they're using him, and they were dumping off to Marks, and he was running for long plays. So the fact that Stroud threw for over 300 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 7 for 30 on the ground without Nico Collins, Without Christian Kirk, whatever. Dalton Schultz had a quiet day here as well. Shout out to our guy, Dr. Denny Carter, 5 for 63 for Jaylen Noel, who was his flexual frustration. Also, that was my desperation play on fantasy football pregame here. But, Hutchinson, 5 for 69, a touchdown. Higgins, 4 for 34. I think when Nico comes back, but I think Noel, because he's the slot guy, I think he may keep this role a little bit more. But I'm with you. Stroud is, I think, starting to become much more viable.
Texans a little more interesting now than they looked a couple weeks ago. And Niners side, I think it's like Dallas, throw it in the bin, start again. I do think that the
Texans are a really good defense.
They are a really good defense. I think this speaks to the fact that the Falcons game for McCaffrey was an outlier in terms of his efficiency. Like, he hasn't been efficient on the ground in any game this year outside of the Falcons game where he went berserk. Falcons might have the worst run defense in the NFL along with the Bengals. They just don't have big people on the defensive line. No. They get run on. Now he goes up against an elite defense in Houston. Couldn't get anything. They just didn't have the ball the first half. I think they had the lowest time.
18 minutes. They held the ball for 18 minutes.
Houston had the ball for 24 minutes in the first half,
exactly.
which is insane.
So they couldn't get anything going. Mac Jones was a little bit off as well. I'm not worried about McCaffrey. He plays the Giants next week. He'll be just fine. Good to see George Kittle on National Tight End Day get into the end zone. I thought he should have had 2. Jake Tungus sort of undercuts the route. It felt like that he intercepted a pass for George Kittle.
Okay, well, speaking of National Tight End Day, the guy who did it the most justice was in Pittsburgh with you, Matthew. It was Tucker Kraft, Daddy, Kraft work.
The Tuckler.
Packers at Steelers. Kraft goes absolutely berserk. 33.3 fantasy points. Jordan Love, that is maybe the best game that I can remember Jordan Love playing, particularly given the occasion on Sunday Night Football against his former mentor, Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers was fine. He got you your 2 touchdown passes.
He did. My bet cashed. Your best bet of longest reception for Jordan Love.
Yep.
The over cashed right there as well. And part of my Football Night in America parlay was talking about Tucker Kraft. My shot for shot on pregame was Tucker Kraft being going to be a top 5 fantasy tight end. He was on the love list this week. Huge game, obviously. He was part of my parlay as well, because we talked about the fact that he's so good after the catch. Steelers top 5 in terms of most fantasy points allowed to opposing tight ends prior to this game. Kraft just goes nuts. He's now the number 1 tight end in fantasy football among tight ends, and that's probably right.
Yeah. Also, I think his nickname just needs to be the Tuck Wagon, because he looks like a wagon when he gets going.
That's fair.
As a yak.
I like the Tuck Wagon.
Yeah, the Tuck Wagon.
I'll sign off on that.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
The Kristen Watson wagon was good for Jordan Love, and he catches the one deep ball, Christian Watson, but again, just further muddies an already very muddy Packers wide receiver room.
That's correct. You're starting Josh Jacobs. You're starting Tucker Kraft. Like, could you get away with Romeo Doubs? Sure, maybe, I guess, if you have to squint and think about it. If you're feeling cheeky, but otherwise, I think it's just that. But I do think that the Christian Watson coming back helps Jordan Love, right? And so Jordan Love is still, it's kind of like C.J. Stroud. He runs a little bit. Like, this is a great game.
C.J. Stroud.
Rich man C.J. Stroud, but like he's like a QB 12-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in that. It's just difficult. He runs a little bit, but not that much.
Right.
So he's stuck in that kind of nether region with the Brock Purdy's when he's healthy, Jared Goff, these type of guys. But Jordan Love, he's kind of turned the corner recently after a really rough out against Cleveland. But since then, Jordan Love has been excellent.
And he was brilliant last night. There's no question.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at Week 8 injuries.
I don't think there's anything to take away from the Steelers either.
No, that's why we didn't mention it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good.
All
Excellent.
right, Saquon Barkley's groin.
That
will be the focus of much discussion this week. He said that he wanted to go back in the game. We'll see. Players diagnosing their injuries on the spot can be a little problematic.
And again, assuming Washington loses tonight, they've got a nice cushion in this division. There's no reason for them to push Saquon Barkley back.
Yep. We will talk about waivers tomorrow in response to potential pickups for these guys. Cam Skattebo done for the season. Naturally, Quinshon Judkins will monitor the shoulder. We're going to have a first break. When we come back, Weekend Warriors and Sunday Scaries.
for yourself, and the MVP chants were resounding across Lucas Oil Stadium. What's the reaction when you hear just the excitement, the enthusiasm for the season that you and this team are having?
I mean, that's what we need. I mean, we feed off of the fans, especially playing at home. So for us to come out firing on all cylinders, it's really a testament to the work that we put in, and we're just glad that the fans are here for it. They're engaged. It makes it a tough environment for the opposing team.
Jonathan Taylor, MVP candidate, minus 250 to win Offensive Player of the Year. He only needed 12 touches, Matthew, or 12 carries to get to 153 yards on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns. Had basically a third rushing touchdown that was counted as a pass technically, but he cashes our pickup line under 20 and a half rushing attempts from Thursday, and he headlines Weekend Warriors.
We were doing bar trivia on Saturday and on Sunday on Friday's football pregame, and the question was, does Jonathan Taylor score 2 touchdowns today? And I said no.
I said no as well.
Yes, we were wrong.
Yeah, we were aggressively wrong. He scored 3, and if the Titans had kept this closer, he might have scored 6.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
He has 14 touchdowns in 8 games. He has. He just keeps on scoring 3 touchdowns every week. I think the record for all time is LaDainian Tomlinson, 31 total. Like he's probably not going to do it because it's extremely hard to do. But Jonathan Taylor could absolutely score 25 touchdowns this year, which only 5 players have ever done.
Jonathan Taylor, this is from Next Gen Stats. Jonathan Taylor forced 8 missed tackles on his carries against the Titans, gained 131 extra yards, the most by any rusher in a game since Week 10, 2020. This season, Taylor's 366 rushing yards off missed tackles are 124 more than any other player. Hashtag Tennessee versus Indy. Hashtag for the shoe. I understand why you are a Colts fan. They're unbelievable. I need your advice here. I need your advice on something here.
If it's Colts related, I'll tell you.
No one else listen to this, okay? Just real quickly, just give me a minute here. I'll alone with Jay. So in the beginning of the year, I did a whole video rant about the Colts and how stupid I were because saying that they should be starting Anthony Richardson just to see what they have, because I said something like, look, Daniel Jones is fine. He's actually a good quarterback. I actually think he's a good fit for Steichen's system, but you're not winning a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. Like the best you're doing is maybe you win a wild card.
Sure.
You're probably losing in the wild card. You're going like 8 wins, and that's what you're doing with Daniel Jones. So anyway, that video's out there, right? And I feel like, Jay, if I'm being honest with you, no one listen, right? No one's listening. If I'm being honest with you, it feels like a pretty bad take.
Is it a problem that they're the greatest offense in the history of football?
I feel like somebody's going to find that video and unearth it. Should I delete it? Should I get ahead of it and quote tweet it with a new video saying I was wrong and fall on the sword now? Because it might be the worst take of all time.
But here's the thing. You haven't seen what Anthony Richardson could do with this offense. Maybe Daniel Jones is holding them back.
Maybe,
And Anthony Richardson is the guy that they need to vault them to the next level.
Thank you, Stuntman Chuck. You can turn it back on now. I had my private conversation with Jay. Just the worst take of all time. Listen, they're favorites for everything. They might be the best team in the AFC. If they're not, it's not a long list. Maybe them or the Chiefs, right?
The Chiefs are better, I think, but the Colts have a reasonable argument to be considered the second best team in football, I think, which is pretty crazy.
Right? And Jonathan Taylor, Offensive Player of the Year. Steichen's going to be Coach of the Year. I think Tyler Warren's got a shot at Rookie of the Year.
They're juggernaut.
They're unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like Taylor's 80-yard touchdown run, where it's like he's running on a balance beam the whole time. Like the gap between him and the safety was just insane. Like, how does he run past him and stay on balance? Taylor's doing things I've never seen a running back do before. This team is just
two-time friend of the show, by the way.
Exactly.
Prior to being on the show,
he might price himself out. We may not be able to get him back. No. He's going to be second in MVP.
The other thing that's happening here, we know Warren is great. Daniel Jones has been phenomenal, just a great fit for that offense. But also, how about Michael Pittman, who throughout his career has always been a very good wide receiver, but much more of a floor guy than a ceiling guy because he never scored touchdowns. Prior to this year, he was just never a big touchdown guy, and yet this year, he's scored in 6 of 8 games this season. On the season, he's the 10th best wide receiver in fantasy.
Had an incredibly sick touchdown on the left side of the end zone. Michael Pittman. Again, this Colts team, they're just toying with people at the moment. It doesn't even really feel like
they're playing with their food.
They're breaking into higher gears. The schedule gets a bit tougher, but they're going to keep on rolling. James Cook would have been the story out of yesterday if not for Taylor and his performance. James Cook goes 19 for 216 and 2 touchdowns. A pitiful performance from the Carolina run defense. But James
You know
Cook,
what they did? They did not pound.
No,
they're told to keep pounding, and yet they stopped pounding.
They never commenced the pound.
No,
you can't
keep
pounding if you never commence the pound.
That's
Everyone
right.
knows this.
Yes.
James Cook quietly has been an absolute beast this year. He's on pace for like over 1,500 rushing yards. The touchdowns have not regressed like we thought they would.
No.
So just a locked-in top 5 running back.
20 more fantasy points in 5 of 7 games this season. No qualified running back in terms of running backs have gotten a certain number of carries. No qualified running back has a higher yards per carry average this year than James Cook, who's getting 6 yards a clip. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were worried about hey, Panthers have a pretty good run defense. We'll see what happens. James Cook just ran it down their throats. It was nice to see that even in a game in which James Cook was just monstrous, Josh Allen, proud Fantasy Life investor Josh Allen, was still able to have, had the 2 rushing touchdowns, threw for 1. Khalil Shakir has a nice game for the Bills as well.
Yep, staying in the AFC East, Tua Tagovailoa, who I thought there was a chance that this might be it for Tua for the last start of the season. Apparently not, because he throws for 4 touchdowns, hyper efficient against what had been a very good Falcons pass defense. Jaylen Waddle, he looked like rookie Jaylen Waddle. He looked like he had incredible burst. He goes for 99 yards and a great touchdown catch as well. So the Dolphins, I don't think we're going to get this every week. There seems to be some weird stuff happening with Atlanta. Why are you losing by 24 points at home for the Dolphins?
Of all the games, it was a weird day yesterday, right? And they're all sort of weird in the NFL. But of all the games yesterday, that was the most shocking one. That not only that Atlanta won, but that they came in there and they spanked them.
Yeah.
They spanked Atlanta. It's one thing for, okay, fine, the offense wasn't as good. They didn't have Drake London. They didn't have Michael Penix. Kirk Cousins looked like meh. And by the way, as long as we're talking about bad takes, how about me tweeting out, hey, by the way, Darnell Mooney available in 50% of leagues. And then 8 million people with the same joke. Well, there's a reason, Barry. Or why do you think? About to be available at 100% because he goose eggs. He's just, Darnell Mooney sucks. And it is, what I mean? It's why I dropped him in our league, and whatever. George picked him up. I'm like, good luck. Have at it. But we did this segment on the Football Night in America pod where they wanted us to do this Halloween thing, whatever, trying to be cute. And so they asked, who's the vampire of the NFL? Who's the ghost of the NFL? And I picked teams from, I was just among the vampires, rising from the dead sort of thing, or the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was supposed to be Mike McDaniel's last game.
Yeah.
They were going to get blown out by the Falcons, and then, they looked great. Jaylen Waddle against a good secondary was able to get it done as well. He's now, since Tyreek Hill went down with an injury, he's had at least 95 yards in 3 of those 4 games. He's averaging almost 16 fantasy points per game. He's the 15th best wide receiver in fantasy since Tyreek Hill went down. He's got a 22% target share, especially with no Darren Waller. I think Waddle is certainly legitimate. Achane, of course, did Achane type things here, including the touchdown. But Tua, here's what I'll tell you. Great game. He gets the 4 touchdowns. Fantastic. On the season, his average up to target is still 4. 4. I mean, he's had 2 passes this entire year of 15 or more air yards. In the game, he only had 2 passes of more than 15 air yards. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. He's had only 2 games this year, this being one of them, with more than 205 passing yards. I'm just Waddle and Achane. That's what you're doing with the Dolphins. But Mike McDaniel and company keep their job for longer. It gives them some strength, some length here.
Yep, Drake Maye, who we're going to start hearing in MVP conversations.
Yes.
He's into plus 450. He has been on an absolute heater, and it keeps it going. In spite of getting sacked by 5 times by Myles Garrett, he still had a very good game. Overall, goes 18 for 24. He's been incredibly efficient. 282 through the air, 3 touchdowns, and also gives you 50 yards on the ground.
First quarterback this season with more than 250 yards against Cleveland. Just to, since week 2, he's the 2nd best quarterback in fantasy football in terms of how to value that. 5th game this year with over 23 fantasy points. Just he's the real deal, and he's making Quinshon Booty become more of a thing. He's just a locked-in fantasy starter. He unfortunately spreads it around a little bit too much. We'll talk more about the Patriots and various players as we get closer to week 9. But yeah, I mean, Maye's fantastic, and I don't hate the people that say they'd rather Maye than Jaden Daniels, because I get it. I'm sticking by 5. faith in 5, but I get it.
Yep, we've got 5 names for Sunday Scaries, and fittingly, 4 of them are from the NFC South. Matthew, we started with Bijan Robinson.
What the hell?
Who goes 9 for 25, 3 receptions for 23 yards. Also has a back-breaking fumble, which effectively sealed Atlanta's fate. There's no action here. It's Bijan Robinson. He will be fine. Just a very rough day at the office for Bijan.
Fewest points by starting running back against the Dolphins this entire season. Falcons only had the ball for 22 minutes. Kirk was not good. Again, they didn't have Drake London. And just to add injury to insult, the one touchdown that they get from a running back goes to Tyler Algier, who didn't touch the ball much, but of course he gets in. Staying in the NFC South here, Baker, second bad game in a row for the Bake Show. He did not look good. Look, the Buccaneers gutted one out against the Saints, but season low in completions, average depth of target, and passing yards. Only 212 yards of total offense for Tampa Bay in this one. He's now had back-to-back games with under 12 fantasy points. They're on a bye next week, so you're hoping they get healthier and they figure it out.
Yep. Emeka Egbuka, rough game for him. Only catches 3 of 9 targets for 35 yards. Egbuka will be fine. He's obviously very good. He does have an issue against press man coverage, though, that they need to figure out a little bit and get him in better spots to succeed. Uncle Rico Dowdle.
He was fueled by touchdowns as well. 3 straight games with single-digit fantasy points for Egbuka. Of course, again, 2 of those, Baker's been brutal. So, again, give them the bye to figure it out. They're home to New England in Week 10. I think things will be better for Tampa.
Yep, Rico Dowdle just 8 for 54. This game was just a farce. Like, Andy Dalton does not belong as a starting quarterback in the NFL in 2025, and he just submarined the whole Carolina offense outside of Teteroa McMillan, who had a nice day.
He was once again, they once again split carries with Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard gets a late touchdown, but oh, by the way, Rico Dowdle once again, much better, much more efficient, higher yards per carry. You're going to hang tough with Rico Dowdle. They're at the Packers next week. Finally, in that same game, Dalton Kincaid. We love Dalton Kincaid, just not this week. 1 reception for 23 yards on just 3 targets. The problem is the Bills rushed for 245 yards. They didn't need to do anything in the air because they were running the ball down their throats. James Cook was so good. Just 19 pass attempts for Josh Allen. That's a season low. Again, Dalton Kincaid is still fine. Is still a low-end tight end when I'm not worried about him. Just a tough day because of the way game script went.
They'll throw more next week against the Chiefs. Okay, it's officially spooky season at the happy hour, and we want to see your costumes. Post your fits using the hashtag FFHHHalloween.
Oh, I like that.
Hashtag FFHHHalloween, and we'll post them on Friday. And yes, every Todd Zeal costume is guaranteed to make the show. We're going to hit our last break.
Yeah, and I will say this as well, by the way. We're going to dress up Friday for Halloween. So if you want to be in the top 10 regulars this week, send us photos prior to that, because that's a way to guarantee your name on the list right there. If you got a good costume.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code FFHH when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
Oh, the crown is yours.
Okay, it's the last call. Take a look at the most bet props on DraftKings. Patrick Mahomes leads the way. Alternate passing touchdowns, 2+ at minus 303.
Minus 303.
Unbelievable. My best bet tonight, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt over 12.5 yards, longest rush. It was only a week ago that everyone loved this guy, including me. I think it's gone a little bit too far. The Chiefs are only mid-pack at preventing explosives. I don't think the Commanders want Marcus Mariota dropping back 45 times. I think they will try and establish it early, and JCM gets at least one 13-yard rush.
Patrick Mahomes is the hottest quarterback in the NFL right now. My defense is decidedly not the Commanders. So I'm taking the Chiefs minus 10.5.
No.
With my heart, I'm rooting for the Commanders, but with my wallet,
oh my goodness,
I think the Chiefs cover the 10.5. This is going to get ugly tonight. So, and by the way, and if I'm wrong, that's fine. I'll be happy because it means we'll have at least made a decent, anyway, whatever it is. Hey, I hope your Monday Night Miracles come through. It's closing time. You don't have to go, but you can stay here. For Jay, I'm Matthew. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace out.